Good morning, students. Welcome to the history class. Today, I would like to discuss with you about the lesson The Rise of the Mauryan Empire. You know that how Chandragupta came to be a ruler of the Mauryan dynasty. We have discussed towards the end of the last lesson. As you know that he belonged to the Maurya tribe. As a young man, he was very vibrant, very brave, and very good leadership quality. Seeing that, Kautilya, he took him and he prepared him, sent him to Takshila for the studies of art and warfare. And he, after he came from his studies, after he completed his course, he gathered all the fragmented kingdoms of North India, and he made a large empire. He gathered enough of armies and fought against the nearby kingdoms, especially the Greeks. After that, he fought with the Dhanas. The last Dhana ruler was Dhanananda, and then he was defeated. Dhanananda was defeated by Chandragupta Maurya, and thus he started building up his empire, extending his empire, and all that. So that is how the Mauryan dynasty came to be. Let us come to the lesson. What the lesson says to us. Okay, how he made his kingdom, his empire, his rule, his administrations, and all that. Okay. So, rise of the Mauryan Empire. So, the Mauryan Empire had that lasted from 321 BC to 185 BC, was the first major empire in the history of India. Yes. Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of this empire, overthrew the Nandas to establish this dynasty. In his rise to the power, he was aided with the council of advisor, his able minister advisor Chanakya, known as the Kautilya. His another name is also there. What is the name? Yes, Vishnugupta. Vishnugupta is his another name. So, how do we know all these things? We have got the sources. So, there are two types of sources: literary sources and archaeological sources. Literary sources and archaeological sources. In literary sources, we have Arthashastra and Indica. Two literary sources, two written sources, and in archaeological sources, we have got the pillars, the edicts, both the two major edicts, rock edicts and pillar edicts. 14 rock edicts. Okay, 14 rock edicts and 7 pillar edicts. 14 rock edicts and 7 pillar edicts, that is there of Ashoka. So with that we come to know about the rise and power of Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, so these are the two sources. It was written in different languages. In Afghanistan, it was known as the language, the script that was written was, let me tell you, yes, it was written, one way, Kharosthi, yes, Kharosthi. It was written in Kharosthi script. Okay, and in India it was Brahmi script. Whereas for the Greeks and other foreigners, it was written in the language of, yes, 1 minute. It was written in Aramaic Aramaic and Greek. Aramaic and Greek. So these were the different languages. The edicts were given. That so with that we these are the sources. Now Chandragupta Maurya. Uh, his little biography is Chandragupta Maurya founded the Mauryan Empire in 321 BC by overthrowing the Nandas. And Nandas means Dhananandas. After consolidating his position in Magadha, he conquered other parts of India in the northwest, defeating Seleucus. Yes, Seleucus. What I said in the beginning, I said that he defeated the Greeks and then Dhananandas. No, it is wrong. It is the first he defeated the Dhanas. After that, he went to defeat Seleucus, the Nicator, the first Nicator, who was the governor of in charge, provincial in charge of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. He was no, general. He was a general and gained the control in Afghanistan, Balochistan, an area of West Indies, West Indus. Seleucus gave his daughter in marriage to Chandragupta Maurya and also sent the envoys of Megasthenes. Megasthenes also was given to Chandragupta Maurya as a gift. As a gift. Chandragupta was the first emperor to unify North and South India as a single state. He built a vast empire which included not only Bihar, most part of Odisha, Bengal, but also western and northern west of India in the Deccan. According to Jain text, according to the books in Jainism, he became a follower of Mahavira towards the end of his life. Thereafter, he abdicated. So he abdicated, emptied the throne, and joined the groups of Jain monks in their journey to Sarnavelagola in Karnataka. He deliberately ended his life. Knowingly, he ended his life by fasting unto death. And he went into Samadhi. The role of Chanakya now. How Chanakya, what was the role? In the beginning I said he made Chandragupta a king. Who? Chandragupta, this one, Kautilya. So what was his role? The prime reason for the success of Chandragupta Maurya was Chanakya. Yes. Chanakya, the art of war. Chanakya. He trained Chanakya in the art of warfare and administration. I told no, he was sent to the school of Takshila. Actually, it is not. It may be written. It may not be written, but it is so. Takshila. You see the Takshila in your books on page number 77. Just on top of the map, you see the Takshila was the school of art and administration, warfare, and all that was taught there. Chanakya was well versed in all sutras. Sutras means all branches of knowledge. Sutra means forms or the rules. Okay. Yes. So he knew all the sutras, rule of knowledge. Sutras. A master in 4 methods: persuasion, enticement, dissensions, and punishment punishment or war. All that he was very, very intelligent. All the persuasion. What is the persuasion means? Persuasion means an act of or the process of convincing somebody. Persuasion, like you convince your parents to buy something or give you something which you like. Convince them so that you remain good to them and get a mobile. That is the convincing. That is persuasion. You persuade them until they buy it. Enticement means showing. Enticement means something used to attract someone. That is enticement means attract someone. You do such a work that they are drawn towards you. They are you draw towards you by your act and by behavior. That is called enticement. Attachment. Next one is the dissension. Attachment is wrong, okay, in the negative sense, but attachment in the good sense. dissension. What is this dissension? Dissension is that a disagreement or disagreement or argument, especially on the organizations. Dissension, how you agree and disagree on the making of decision, that is called dissension. And punishment, how you punished or war, how you, the defaulters, that is judgment on the judgment side. Chanakya was also known by two other names, Kautilya and Vishnugupta, that I have told you. Next one, Chanakya was succeeded by his son Bindusara. Bindusara. He was succeeded by his son Bindusara in 297 BC. After he was abdicated, he abdicated the throne for his son. Then he defeated the rulers of 16 kingdoms and brought them under the Mauryan Empire. Okay, under him, Mauryan rule spread across Indian subcontinent up to Karnataka. Only Kalinga was left alone. Yes, Kalinga was left alone. This is very important part. Kalinga was left alone and the most southern part of India. Otherwise, all were under the Mauryan Empire. Scholars from Egypt and Syria lived in these palaces. In 273 BC, he was succeeded by his son Ashoka. Emperor Ashoka. Ashoka was one of the most successful and famous monarch in the Indian history. Ashoka became the emperor in 273 BC. 273 BC. As a young prince, Ashoka was brilliant, ambitious and ruthless commander. Was whatever he said, let us kill them, we'll kill them. He was ruthless, merciless. He was merciless. He ruled from the capital Patliputra. Upon his crowning, he immediately went on to campaign of conquest. Also known as Ashoka the Great, he served as the governor of Takshila and Ujjain and gained valuable administrative experience during his father's reign, Bindusara. So he was well trained also. Kalinga, modern day Odisha, was the only kingdom which was not under the control of Maurya. This we have said. Ashoka realized that this is an important, realized the importance of Kalinga as it was connecting the route of South India and Southeast Asia. So it was good for trade route. It was just joining the trade route. He was determined to conquer Kalinga. He said, by all means, I have to win. And so he waged war against Kalinga. A historic war was fought along Kalinga. Although Kalinga was conquered, he was defeated. But Ashoka's life changed because of the bloodshed. During the war, the amount of bloodshed was done, and human life had lost. So this made a great impact in the lives of the Ashoka, and he was melted. His heart was melted. He was ruthless, but now his heart was melted, and he became the follower of Buddha and accepted non-violence. He followed the Dhamma, the way of life. Dhamma means way of life, and became the first ruler in Indian history to propagate peace and non-violence. See that? He said, I will never wage war anymore. Never wage war anymore. Instead, he worked for the peace and non-violence. Ashoka's Dhamma and edict also was the important part of his administration. Ashoka, inspired by Buddhism, propagated Dhamma. And the word Dhamma has been taken from the Sanskrit word Dharma. The Prakrit it means religious duty. Dhamma means religious duty, way of life. It was neither new religion nor a new philosophical, political philosophy. Rather, it was the way of life. It was the way of life, a conduct, and a set of principles to be adopted and practiced by the common people. Ashoka adopted the policy of Dharma to promote harmonious relationship between the diverse elements of the vast kingdom. So, what was the Dhamma? Non-violence was the uppermost, most important one. Tolerance, he tolerated with all the people of other groups, of other religions also. Truthfulness, he was ruthless, now truthful. He is now truthfulness now. Respect towards one's elders, especially the teachers and parents. Kindness and charity to all, especially slaves and servants. We should be kind to the slave and the slaves. Charity to the workers and the slaves and the servants. Now, here between slave and servant, what is the difference between slave and servant? Slaves are bought and sold. They are not paid, but servants are paid. Servants are paid. Slaves are not paid. They are asked to work, but they are not paid. But then Ashoka said, you should be kind to them also. The edicts of Ashoka. What is this edict? Edict is a promulgation of the principles or the rules to follow for the people. That is known as edict. So it was done not by books. We have no circular. What was there? They used to engraved on the rocks. Engraved on the rocks, or write on the rocks, and the pillars. Rocks and then put in the public places, and people used to read and follow them. So there were 14 rock edicts, and 7 pillar edicts, and which was the way of promulgating Dhamma to the whole of his empire. It was written in Kharosthi, Greek, Aramaic. Aramaic was the language of Jesus. Let me tell you, Aramaic was the language of Jesus. Jesus spoke Aramaic, Greek, and for Indians it was Brahmi script. Now, propagation of dharma was Ashoka. He appointed people, officials, whom he called the Dhamma Mahamatras. These officers were dedicated or directed to go place to place to spread the Dhamma. So some went to the Central Asia and Egypt, etc. Ashoka himself sent his own daughter Sanghamitra and son Mahendra to Sri Lanka to propagate Dharma. Rock Edicts 18 talks about the emperor's visit to, he himself went to Lumbini, the birthplace of Gautama Buddha. The welfare measures, what were the welfare measures that he took, especially the Mauryan